Hello everyone, this is Sharun here from 24/7 Techie, and in this video we will be comparing the LE1S with the Redmi Note 3 Pro. So the Pro is actually the Snapdragon variant and it was recently announced in India, but it's not still launched in India or available for purchase. What Xiaomi did was made it available for 100 explorers or beta testers for them. I got hold of one of those beta testers. I did spend quite a lot of time with the Redmi Note 3 Pro, and I was pretty impressed with the device. I've also made a dedicated video in which I compared the MediaTek variant with the Snapdragon variant, and in this we will be making a video on the LE1S versus the Pro. So we'll first of all start with the physical attributes of the phone, and as you can see at the top of the phone we have the IR blaster and the 3.5mm headphone jack, but the Redmi Note 3 has a secondary microphone extra. At the right of the phone we have the buttons configuration. Both the phones have the same button configuration. At the bottom of the phone, the Redmi Note 3 has the micro USB 2.0 port and the primary microphone, whereas the LE1S has a USB Type-C port and a dual grill setup in which one of them is speaker and one of them is the primary microphone. And at the left of the phone, we don't have anything except for the SIM card trays. So the LE1S has the dual SIM card slot, and the Redmi Note 3 has a single SIM plus a hybrid SIM card slot, which also has a SD card slot. So as you can see at the back of the phones, both phones are metal backs and looks really good. The fingerprint sensor is at the back, the cameras, the flash and the branding is at the back, and it does looks really good. And this is the about phone, and as you can see both the phones are running on Android Lollipop and their own custom UIs. So the LE1S is running on EUI, whereas the Xiaomi's phone is running on MIUI as always. So both the phones have 32 gigs of internal storage, but the Redmi Note 3 can have a micro SD card slot, and that also is a pro for that. And as you can see, the UI of both the phones are pretty same, and it has no app drawer or anything. And this is the gaming performance on the Redmi Note 3 Pro, because I've already shown you the gaming performance on the LE1S in a lot of my previous videos, and the gaming performance on both the phones are same, no frame drops, nothing, and for the price it will be amazing device for sure. And I played a couple of games, the Asphalt 8, the Modern Combat 5, and the frame drops were 0, and the flawless gaming performance as well. And for sure, and there were no heating issues as well. So it is running on a Snapdragon 650, and to a surprise there were no heating issues. And the maximum temperature that I found out on this phone was about 42 degrees Celsius, which was practically not an heating issue for sure. If you feel it's a heating issue, then you must consider other phones. And as you can see in the Droid info, all the info related to the phone. And the Xiaomi phone is running on an hexa-core processor, whereas the LE1S is running on an octa-core processor. And in the memory point of view, both the phones have 32 gigs of internal storage, 3 gigs of RAM. But in the camera sensors, there is some difference. But the Redmi Note 3 had a lot better camera sensor compared to the LE1S. And in the sensors point of view, we can see that the Redmi Note 3 has a lot more sensors compared to the LE1S. We will be considering this as the LE1S because it is the LE1S. I have the MediaTek variant with me. I don't have the Snapdragon variant with me, but for the physical attributes of the phone, we'll consider this as the Snapdragon variant, because I wanted to talk about a couple of things, and I don't have the device anymore with me, but I can surely tell you guys the Redmi Note 3 Pro has a much better camera performance compared to the LE1S. And another thing that I really wanted to talk about was the in-hand feel of both the phones. So the battery on both the phones are a little different. So the LE1S has a 3000 mAh battery, whereas the Redmi Note 3 has a 4000 mAh battery, and the in-hand feel of both the phones does change a lot, because this does feels very premium in hand. You do not feel that it's under 15,000 rupees phone or anything. Actually, I was comparing this premiumness to the Nexus 6P. So a phone which is 43,000 rupees and a phone that is 11,000 rupees. So the premiumness and the build quality on the LE1S is just extraordinary. And the premiumness on the Redmi Note 3 is decent, but not that good, because I do feel that it's a little bit bulky because of the 4000 mAh battery, and you do not get the premium feel of the metal on this. It doesn't really feels like it's a very premium metal. It just feels like a decent piece of metal. If you don't compare it to any other phone and use it just a single phone, then you won't feel any difference. But if you compare it with this phone, then you know that the LE1S feels much premium than this. Another thing that I wanted to talk about is the fingerprint sensors. The fingerprint sensor on the LE1S is much faster compared to the Redmi Note 3 Pro or the Redmi Note 3 any variant. Antutu benchmark scores was on this phone and this phone were decent, and I didn't really go into the Antutu benchmark scores because the performance on both the phones are very similar. There's no point of going into the Antutu benchmark because the performance wise both the phones are same, and in the battery life point of view both the phones have decent battery life, but the major difference comes when this phone has extra 1000 mAh of battery life plus a Snapdragon 650 processor, which is a much power efficient processor compared to the Helio X10 processor. So when we compare these two phones, the screen on time that has been reported is about 5 hours of screen on time, and with heavy usage, and on this with heavy usage we get about 3.5 hours to 3 hours of screen on time. But the pro for this phone is that it's having a USB type C with fast charging, so about 70-75 minutes for full charge, and this phone will take you more than 2 hours to full charge, because first of all it's a very big battery, and second of all it doesn't support any type of fast charging, and in the box also we got a 2 amp charger. So in the battery life point of view the Redmi Note 3 will win. So another thing that I wanted to talk about, that is the cases, the aftermarket development and support from the community. So the cases for both the phones will be easily available very soon in India. The moment the Xiaomi phone will be available in India, the Indian market has now tend to trust the Xiaomi brand. So the moment the Redmi Note 3 will launch in India, the cases will be available very soon. But the LE1S has been selling in India for over 3 weeks now, and the cases in the market will be available for this as well. So in the cases point of view, we won't have any difficulties for both the phones. And in aftermarket development, both the phones are pathetic. And this is the first time that you will hear that a Xiaomi phone is pathetic in aftermarket development, and that is only because the bootloader on this phone is locked. So we do have a couple of ROMs available for the MediaTek variant, and I'm not able to install it because the bootloader is locked and there's no easy way to unlock the bootloader. You need a code for that, and for knowing that code you need a Chinese phone number. So that is very difficult, and hopefully the Snapdragon variant doesn't comes with a locked bootloader or an easy way to unlock the bootloader. But the MediaTek variant, I have had a very bad experience. I don't think so that the aftermarket development for this phone will be good, and aftermarket development for this phone has been decent, but we don't have a stable ROM for this phone, but none of those supports the fingerprint sensor. So if we talk about my final thoughts, I did like both the phones. I'm actually using this phone as my primary or the secondary device because I'm really very much into the premiumness of this phone, and I'm really a very big fan of the LE1S. I'm really looking forward to test out the Snapdragon 650 and also compare it with the other processors like the Helio X10 versus the Snapdragon 808. But in my final thoughts, with which phone I will be going with the LE1S because of the better fingerprint sensor, because of the USB Type-C, because of the much better build quality. So the build quality on this phone is a lot better, but I can surely see why you would like to see go with the Redmi Note 3, because it has a much better brand name. Xiaomi is now a very good brand name in India compared to the LETV or Coolpad or anyone else. Another thing is that a very big battery, so 4000 mAh battery with a power efficient Snapdragon 650 in my initial impressions. So a battery life on this phone will be really amazing for sure. And the performance on this phone was also at par with the Helio X10, so that is also a good thing. Everything about this phone depends on the pricing. So if Xiaomi can keep it under 13,000 rupees, then this phone will be killer. Thank you very much guys for watching this video. This was Sharun here from 24/7 Techie comparing the Redmi Note 3 Pro with the LE1S. Please do like and share this video because it tells us that you appreciate our hard work, and please do subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss any of our content, and it helps us a lot as well. And I really hope to see you in my next video. Till then, see ya.